Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to remove the 1782 motor to reinstall in this chassis right here. This machine right here, I decided to change it because they had a little bit of rust in this area right here. Had quite a bit right in the front in this area. Had a gentleman contact me today that wants this chassis. He's going to put it in one of his polling units. This machine has a little bit of disarray in the harness, the fuel lines, the shutoff, and definitely in the radiator. And it even has an air cleaner. It needs some attention. Right there is the broken radiator on the saddle right there. Going to get that all soldered back in and get this machine in tip-top shape. So I'm gonna put you in a stand. We're going to remove first the grill and the hood, and then we're probably gonna move to the radiator area and kind of go from there. I have actually only pulled a motor out of a 782 diesel before. I never pulled one out of a 2182 with a gas or a 1782. So this is kind of new territory. It's really not that big a deal. One difference is there's only 4 bolts in the chassis right here, 2 on each side to hold that motor in, believe it or not. You have a gas motor, they have 6. And a diesel, only 4. So I'm gonna put you in a stand. We're going to get the nose piece off here first. I'm going to put the hood back down. It's gonna take a 1/2 inch to do that. We're very cold and I need something to do. So that's why I decided to do that today. This next week, we're supposed to be down to about 10 below 0. So I figured today we're at about 30, which feels very warm. Today's the day that I'm gonna remove this motor. Now, one thing is I'm going to show you that they did, and I never saw this before, but this one right here, they put a nut on top of it. They used a 1/4 inch bolt on it. So we're going to just put a wrench on that. They ran the bolt right through. You can see the nut that was made right on that keeper right there. So we're going to just change that when we put it back together. And right there is the keepers right there. I'll put some shiny ones in on the new project. I like everything to really shine. I don't ever want to paint them. I just want them to look very natural. Surprisingly, this machine here has a brand new clutch on it. So they made some wire unit right here to go to it. Right there's the bread ties right there. This piece right here is now loose. I'll take that wire out. I don't plan as of now to mow with it, but the way things go here, that might change. So the next thing I think we're going to do is unhook all the controls right here. They kind of look like they're a menace. Now, when I put that back together, I'm going to use this type of keeper right here. Believe it or not, we were in a big tractor salvage, so probably take it out of a CAV pump to put them adapters back in there. So now we're on to this area right here. This is 7mm. Some of this is going to be metric. Some is going to be standard. Definitely want to get that bolt there, put that back in. If it doesn't take very long, I am going to, on film today, we're going to take the dash off also. But we'll see how far we get into it. My main concern is I don't want to disturb the harness too much. So right there, we're all unhooked on the controls. The next thing I'm going to do is unhook the hydraulics. And the reason I'm going to unhook the hydraulics is these, which I want to make sure you can see, these hoses right here are covering up that bolt right there. Now that takes a 17 millimeter to do it. We're going to drain the antifreeze out of it. Get that out of the way. Now one thing is, before I put it in the chassis, I have to change the alternator. The alternator is froze up. When we get to the other side, I'll show you that. It takes a 7/16 to take that off right there. Now be careful when you pull these hydraulic lines off. Both, I can't even find the O-rings, but they're not even in there unless they fell, and I didn't see them fall. But it wasn't leaking, but there's no O-rings in that area right there, so I can't believe it wasn't leaking. So next thing we're going to do is tuck them over this area like this. And we're going to get in there and take that off right there. Takes a 17 millimeter. The one on the other side is a lot easier to get out than this one right here. A little bit of a tight spot right there. And of course I dropped it right down in the antifreeze. And I'll put it right there. We'll switch to the other side. And right here, we'll take out that one there. It's even talking to me. Now we're going to take off, and it does have a nut on the back side, we're going to take off this bolt right there for this bracket right here. Now you definitely, if you have one of these machines, you want that bracket hooked up there. If you don't, these radiators will vibrate. Unhook take the bolts out for the motor. Takes their 3/8 bolts. Now I plan on putting on it a gear reduction starter also on this machine. while the motor's out, I'm going to put the gear reduction starter on it, put the motor in, and then I'm going to put the manifold on. That bolt right there is a little stuck. Let that sit for a second. Now when I put that motor back in, I'm going to use brand new 3/8 bolts. Might run a tap down through it also. And the reason why, it just makes it a lot simpler, a lot cleaner job when you do it. Okay, we'll go to the other side. Actually, while we're down here, we have a zip tie in that area right there. I'm gonna cut that right now, and that'll make the motor, when we're ready, it'll slide right out. Now, I'm not going to unhook any of the wiring harness before we slide out the motor. We're going to unhook all the wiring. I already unplugged it right here. We're going to unhook the wiring as far as the switch and everything. We're going to just take it right out of the dash and throw it over the top of the motor. I have no idea. I've only seen it in a film. A gentleman had it running, and I was pretty impressed with it. Okay, now we'll get the hard one right here. Now, in that other chassis, I already taken the transmission out of this machine and put it in that one there. It has the factory 3-point hitch on it. I'm going to move that over just a little bit like this. See if that is. There. Now that's out. So the next thing I'm going to do is take some bungee cords, and I'm going to bungee cord all this stuff up like so. So now we should be able to, I have the wheels choked on it. I should be able to take the motor and go this way with it now. We're already unhooked from the dry shaft, so now we're going to get the radiator out. That's my main objective. Right here is another zip tie. So we're in pretty good shape. Only has a couple marks right there. Now we're going to unhook all the wiring out of the dash right here. Move the camera over in this area right here, and I'll show you that coming out. I'm not going to pull on that and put the nut back on, but I am going to take the light switch off, and the light switch is right there. But I have a problem, and I'm going to change this bezel anyways. It's way inside that plastic right there, so I'm going to take a screwdriver, and I'm going to bust that plastic out. And then the nut that holds that on there should be 5/8. I guess we don't have to take that one off because I have to show you that in a minute. Switch is broke right off right there. Never seen anything like that. So we'll take the steering wheel off next. Might be able to just yank it right off. I already have the nut off, but no. Now I soaked that with WD-40 for about an hour. Made a lot of difference, but rarely do I ever have problems taking off a steering wheel off a Cyclops. They're not like an 82 series. One problem with a Cyclops, and the other day I see a gentleman wrote a comment that he was very upset that my 2086 had a push button on it. If you own a Cyclops, you're going to have push buttons and everything. Their harnesses in them were not the grandest. If you are very familiar with a Cyclops, you're going to realize that. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this valve out, and I'm going to show you why we're going to take this valve out, because they ran the harness right underneath this. So what I'm going to do is just get it unhooked and make it the easiest way right there. Now the O-ring is on that one right there. There's the O-ring. They're a special O-ring. They're terribly expensive at a Cub Cadet dealer. I'm going to do is take off that line down on that orbital motor right there. And the reason why is I just want to loosen up that. I just want to make sure I don't disturb that harness. I'll do a little different when I put it back together. clamp off next. Takes a 1/2 inch to do that. Power steering motor will stay right down in there. We're going to take this off right here too, while we're in there. Take the shaft out. Dash is out now. Okay, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the back side of the motor. Here's my main issue. The alternator is completely froze up. The water pump has been replaced, but this is the coupling. There's a CV type for the Cyclopses right here. I have all the wiring off to the side right there. So we're just going to use this car lift right here, and we're going to take this motor out. It should pick right out of there. And there we go. I'm going to take the harness, throw it right over like this for now. And I'll give you a good walk around on this. There she is. 640D is out. So thanks for watching. This is a very long video. I added a lot of this out. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. This motor here eventually will land in that chassis right there. Going to change the alternator, like I said earlier, and get that right in. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And we'll definitely see you on the next video.